Ethan's story. The other night, I went to a small reunion dinner. And there, across the room, I saw a familiar face. It was Ethan, an old friend I hadn't seen in years. But something about him struck me. The last time we met, he looked worn down like a man who had aged 10 years in just 2. Back then, he carried himself like someone trapped in the grind, beaten by life's endless weight. But tonight, he looked different. Calm. Collected. There was a quiet strength in his smile, the kind you only earn after surviving a storm. We sat down together with a glass of wine. And as the night unfolded, Ethan leaned in and told me his story. I used to think shortcuts were the secret to success, Ethan began. I was always chasing the fastest way, the clever trick, the easy road. A few years ago, I threw my savings into a startup I barely understood. I bought into crypto hype, took loans, even skipped time with my family because I believed if I just pushed hard enough, I'd strike gold. At first, things looked good. Quick profits. Friends congratulating him. It felt like the load on his back had finally gotten lighter. But then, Ethan sighed. The bubble burst. Everything I thought I'd gained disappeared overnight. I was left with debts, tension at home, and this crushing sense that I had failed not just in business, but as a husband, as a father. He paused, staring into his glass. My wife barely spoke to me. My kids felt distant. I would wake up every morning with this pit in my stomach, wondering how I'd carry on. And that's when, by chance, I stumbled on a story. It was in a book I picked up one lonely night, The Merchant and the Donkey. He smiled faintly. It goes like this, he said. A merchant had a donkey who discovered that if he accidentally fell into the river with a load of salt, the sack would grow lighter. The donkey thought he was clever, so he repeated the trick again and again. But one day, the merchant loaded him with cotton. And when the donkey fell into the river, expecting relief, the cotton soaked up the water, and his burden became unbearable. Ethan looked at me, his eyes steady. That was me, he said. I thought I was clever, chasing shortcuts. But all I did was double my burden. So I changed, Ethan continued. I stopped looking for quick wins. I started with small, steady steps, paying down debt, rebuilding trust with my wife, spending time with my kids, even if it was just an evening walk or helping with homework. He leaned back, exhaled deeply. It wasn't glamorous. No overnight millions. But slowly, the weight lifted. Not because the load disappeared, but because I finally learned how to carry it. I listened, silent, as his words hung in the air. And then Ethan said something I'll never forget. You know, he whispered, I used to hate the heavy burdens life gave me. But now I realize they were the very things that taught me how to stand tall. If I hadn't carried them, I wouldn't be the man I am today. That's where his story ended. And maybe that's where yours begins. Because the truth is, sometimes the heavy load you're carrying right now is the very weight shaping you into who you're meant to be. Shortcuts can backfire. True growth comes from carrying the weight, not escaping it. Have you ever tried a shortcut that only made life harder? Share your story in the comments. It might be the wisdom someone else needs today. And if Ethan's journey touched you, don't forget, subscribe to Kelvin's Heart Tales, where every week real stories remind us that even heavy burdens can lead to lighter hearts.